This is Fowl Players Radio, your podcast for arts, entertainment, and pop culture. Welcome. My name is Michael Spedden, your host. Every episode features fun, fascinating stories about people in the performing arts, actors, authors, dancers, writers, musicians, athletes, you name it. Folks who are center stage, backstage, on camera, or behind the scenes. Sit back and listen. Let's have some fun. Fowl Players Radio is a proud production of the Fowl Players Group and the official podcast of the Fowl Players of Perryville.
Hi, this is Paul Castiglia, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio, the one-stop shop for all your pop culture needs.
Hi, this is Kim of Kim's Crypt, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio.
This is A.D. Adams, and you are tuned in to Fowl Players Radio with your host, Michael Spedden.
Yeah, hi, this is David Simmons from DC Star, and I am just encouraging all of you to tune in to Michael Spedden's show on Fowl Players Radio and love the rock and roll of the past and the art of the future.
And folks, welcome back to another episode of Fowl Players Radio. I'm your host, Michael Spedden. If you're looking at me right now, you can see that I have the ultimate face for radio. You're probably watching us on our YouTube channel. We have a lot of our new episodes from season 9 and some past episodes we're going to be moving from the audio version on our main website, www.fowlplayersradio.com. We'll be moving those to our YouTube channel in the upcoming months, so keep your eyes open for our classic episodes. Tonight, we have Ken Arnold, Dan Franko, and Dan DeLuca to tell us all about their film, Night Watchmen, which is celebrating its 5th anniversary of its release on November 2nd, 2022 at 8 p.m. at Landmark Theater in Annapolis, Maryland. Tickets are available at the Eventbrite link that I have in the show notes. Not only did these three reminisce about the making of the movie, but we also talked about some of their other projects, such as Comedy of Horrors, A Town Called Purgatory, the Recursion Theorem, Appletinis with Ken, and their Actors Club, a place where actors can practice and work together to improve their craft. The Fowl Players of Perryville have a few shows left this fall, and we will be performing on the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad October 29th and again on New Year's Eve. Tickets are available at www.wmsr.com. Also, don't forget your tickets for the Polar Express, which runs on the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad on selected dates from the Friday after Thanksgiving until Christmas Eve. www.wmsr.com. The Fowl Players of Perryville will also be performing at the 5th Company Brewing in Perryville, Maryland, October 21st, this coming Friday, November 12th, and December 10th. Tickets are available at fifthcompanybrewing.com or www.fowlplayersofperryville.com. Now, we'll have Ken Arnold, Dan Franko, and Dan DeLuca right after these words. And folks, welcome back to Fowl Players Radio. Tonight, I have with me Dan Franko, Ken Arnold, and Dan DeLuca from the Night Watchmen. Night Watchmen is going to be celebrating 5 years since it was released, and they're going to have a special screening at Landmark Theater in Annapolis, November 2nd at 8 p.m. And again, these guys are here to tell us all about it. So welcome, guys. Congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Surprised we survived this long.
Yeah. I can't believe we made it 5 years. It's been.
I believe.
I gotta say,
it went by in a flash. That's
dude.
I gotta say, I really enjoyed the movie. I've seen it on Amazon a few times, and it's really good. It's really good. I enjoyed it. A little bit of both, humor and horror in it, and I thought it was very well done.
Well, I got to tell you, the writing was not so good. It was my acting and Dan Franko's acting that elevated the writer's words off the page and made it so awesome.
I'll tell Jamie that.
Nice. Oh, yeah. DeLuca was the main writer on the script writer on it. And we had Jamie Nash, who came in and did some work on it as well. But, all the pieces came together, the writing, the acting, the editing. I mean, it all meshed and came together, and we had a lot of fun doing it. Absolutely.
It looked like it.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little story about how the whole thing came about.
Mm-hmm.
Ken and I were stuck in a Mexican prison a few years back. Wait, no, that's a different story.
That was a different story, different movie.
That's a different story. So one night, early in the morning, couple like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something, 2 o'clock, I get this call from Ken, and apparently he'd been drinking, like usual.
Not me.
He's like, Dan, what can we shoot in my studio? Because Ken used to have a studio over in Baltimore. And I'm like, all right, well, give me a couple weeks and I'll get back to you. And then we kind of went back and forth. And this was honestly, what can we do with our friends as cheap as possible in one location? and then it grew from there. So
you forgot a part.
Which part was that?
How can we make Dan Franko sexy dance?
Right.
That's true.
Yes,
and I think it was more like, how can we get Dan to dance on film like we see him dance on a daily basis when he's with us?
It's true. That is my mistake for cueing you guys into that side of my life.
Yep. So where was it filmed actually? What was the location?
So it was at the Annapolis, the Capital Gazette. They had just moved out of their location where they had made the paper for, 40, 50 years,
Right.
to a new location when the Sun bought them. So their entire operation was there. It required a quick rewrite of the location of what the building was. But then, you had all the cubicles, you had all the offices, you had the printing presses, you had millions of dollars worth of art deco, or art design that easily just fell into our laps. That made it just seem like a much heavier budget than we had.
Oh, that's great. So you moved in there, they had moved out, and all the office was pretty much set the way it was.
Yep.
They left a lot of those things behind there. So, hey, built-in set. There you go.
It was
And
like
the nice thing was
Steffi.
that the production could move in, like the editors' offices became producers' offices and wardrobe offices, and so I mean the building became both the production side of the film and the practical set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
A friend of ours, Bill Steffi, found it for us. And the people at the Capital Gazette were more than happy to have us go in there and film there. But like Dan was saying, you're talking about, a set that we couldn't pay for in a million years. I mean, the machines were just amazing, and they, play part of the characters themselves. This whole kind of atmosphere we were in.
And if you watch the movie, you'll see that one of the color palettes of the movie is blue because the machines are blue. The security guards' shirts are blue, and everything's got like this blue and then orangey tint to it back and forth throughout with a yellow accent to it as well. So, I know that we don't like to think of ourselves as filmmakers that look that deep into it, but we did have those things. We had those things working in our favor.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of those things that, I guess somebody's got to think of that while in the process of this whole thing, I guess, huh? And yeah, interesting. So this was made, came out in 2017, obviously 5 years ago, and filmed where the Gazette used to be. Now, casting, I saw a lot of familiar faces in the movie here. Of course, the three of you, and then I saw some other people. Tell us about your cast a little bit, some of the people that you had in there.
Well, not by choice, Luca, of course, but let's see.
I knew that was going to come.
That
was going to come from one of you. I know it. It was.
We had our good friend Kevin Jiggets, who is out in LA now, but he was here at the time. He was living in Maryland, and of course, he plays Jiggets in the film. And we have been wanting to do a project for so many years, so he was one of the automatic choices. Now I know Dan Franko, the director, wanted to see him audition, so we put him on tape. But of course, he did such an excellent job, and he got hired. But when we started to get into the pre-production side of it, a couple of weeks prior, we started to reach out to a lot of people via a casting director out in LA by the name of Paul Ruddy. And we had him contact agents out there for a lot of different people. We contacted Frank Langella at one point. We were trying to get him to come on board. We contacted John Waters. We wanted to see if he would do a cameo. Who were some of the other people we contacted, Dan? Do you remember?
Laura Propone.
Okay.
From
that 70s show.
70s show. Yeah, we actually talked to her. And who else was there? I mean, we ended up with James Remar, who did an amazing job. He was just, if you look at it, you're like, that's James Remar. You never see him in anything like that, but he just jumped right into the character. Did a brilliant job.
Yeah, I mean, and that was way out of his usual archetype. Yeah, and he was fantastic in it. He was great as that creepy dude. It was really cool. It was cool.
And a lot of the LA talent that came out, Cara Louise, who played the main female heroine of the movie that goes along with the guys. Her career has really taken off lately. She's on she was on American Horror Story, Impeachment, and she's recurring on Hacks on HBO, which has gotten a lot of Emmy buzz. And Deanna Reasonover, who plays Penny in the movie, is a regular on NCIS. So, or is it CSI? CSI. Sorry, I got the alphabet.
Wait
wrong.
A second. What the hell happened to us?
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we've done.
And then of course
we've done nothing.
And of course, we had our production manager had worked with Matt Servito before from The Sopranos, and who had been on Banshee, and reached out to him, and he was all in to come down to Annapolis and hang out and do cool stuff.
Right.
And of course, Rain Pryor. She's a good friend of ours, and we got her in the film as well. And Scream Queen, Tiffany Shepis, she's known as a Scream Queen, and she was also in the film. So yeah, we had a fantastic cast of people, and all the little bit parts, Matthew Bowerman and Travis, we had so many cool, like, one day players that came on and just kicked butt, man. They really did. They kicked ass. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I did notice Rain Pryor in there, and she's done a lot of things. I think she's running a theater company in Baltimore now, Baltimore City, I believe, right?
She's leaned heavily into directing. I actually did a play with her earlier this year up in Frederick, and she's directing one in Baltimore now. I don't know that she's running the theater company, but she's working with several where she is where she's directing and on that side of the world. And she's a phenomenal director. I mean, just like her instincts and for a scene and for the comedy in the scene, physical and verbal, it's awesome to work with somebody at that level.
That's what I understand. That's what I've heard about her. She just does a phenomenal job, and she's a real pleasure to work with and everything. So this is you started this out here, and you cast all these people in here. And you were talking about a couple of the people that kind of got away. Frank Langella. That would have been something to have him.
Absolutely. It's a vampire movie, and he was Dracula. Back in the day. My favorite, really, Dracula, because I love that movie. The late 70s Dracula that he was in was fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
What kinds of things inspired this? I'm sure somebody had, somebody had the idea pop into their head. Yep.
Go ahead, DeLuca.
Yeah.
What inspired
it? Ken and I are real fans of Shaun of the Dead, and anything those guys do. And what really inspired this entire movie is just the stupid things we do on a daily basis, and the stupid things we say. And a lot of that stuff is just kind of right out of, our normal daily kind of banter and sick humor. And it's really not too far from who we actually are, to some extent. We have fun with anyway. The inspiration, Shaun of the Dead. We like comedy horror. We know how to play off each other very well, all of us, because we've been doing it for years as friends. And you get around with your friends, and And this is no different than when we're sitting around having a beer or, exchanging women's underwear with each other. Just what we do on a regular basis.
Yep.
Did I say too much?
Yep. Let's move on.
That's enough of that. I'm over here like this going. So, and I'm a huge fan of Mel Brooks, man. I mean, Young Frankenstein and Dracula Dead and Loving It and Robin Hood Men in Tights. And that kind of humor just seeps into everything that we do. It really does. Just it's in there because we're such big fans of it.
Right. Yeah.
The Abbott and Costello stuff. I mean, all that stuff. It's fun. It doesn't take itself seriously. Just have a good time. Sit down, have a good time.
And there are references to a lot of that throughout the movie. If you watch it close enough, you'll see references to all the things we tried to hit that, we brought from other things. And, if it's good, steal it.
Oh, yeah.
Your own.
Oh, yeah. Well, that, homages, you see homages and Easter eggs and things. Well, I guess you could kind of call them Easter eggs or homages, in all kinds of movies out there. A lot of people are actually doing that. And that makes it that much better for the people that get it. Yeah, I think it really makes it that much more special for those that get it. And then those that don't, their experience is all the less. But yeah, so coming up, I know, you mentioned your comedy influences and everything, Shaun of the Dead, but are there any other, anything in the horror genre that you really liked growing up, or any favorites that you had that may have inspired you or maybe came to mind while you were putting this together?
Well, definitely, like I was mentioning, the Abbott and Costello stuff. That to me, that stuff was just fun. It was fun, and I could see us doing it. And having Ken as our straight man. He does that really well. So we make fun of him even when he doesn't know it. And that would be my inspiration. Ken, like he was saying, he likes Mel Brooks, and
but
I can see a little bit of that in there.
From the straight up horror genre, though, I would say films like Halloween, Friday the 13th. Those were the films in the 80s, right? In the late 70s, early 80s that really, put me down that horror genre path. Now, and this is a funny story. When I was a little kid, my grandmother, she was too afraid to watch horror movies by herself. So she would make me watch them with her when we stayed over on Fridays and Saturday nights, which we were there a lot because my parents like to go out and have, fun. So grandma was babysitting. We were watching horror movies every Friday and Saturday night. And we watched Damon. We watched the Karen Black trilogy. We watched
I love that. Yeah.
The Night Stalker. We watched all these cool movies with my grandmother, and she set me down this path of horror. And I enjoyed those movies. I was scared, and I had a lot of nightmares when I was a kid, but now I'm using it to make movies and produce stuff. So
absolutely. I had that kind of a same experience, because I stayed with my grandparents, both sides, quite a bit growing up. We would go over there and they would have us over to spend the night. We could eat whatever we wanted, watch whatever we wanted, stay up as late as we wanted to. And I got to tell you, I learned my lesson one night, because there was a movie that came on, I guess the Late Show or something, but it was a middle of the night horror movie. Scared the living hell out of me. And I just could not sleep after that. It was called Beyond the Door. It was sort of like an Exorcist type of thing. And it was, this woman, of course, she's like looking down, hair in her face, pops up, face is all decayed, the white contact lenses in, demon voice comes out. And good Lord, I was scared stiff after that, and that was just one of those things. But I tell you, I think grandparents have a, when you watch TV with the grandparents, it was almost kind of like in those days, like, here, let me show you some good stuff, and they would, with my great grandmother, my grandparents, we would watch the Marx Brothers, the Jack Benny Show, Benny Hill. And there's something really to be said about that, you know. Anything else in the genre of horror? Because it's getting to be Halloween season that you all particularly enjoy.
My wife and I, we love all of the Mike, and he's a local guy, Mike Flanagan, all of his stuff on Netflix, The Haunting of Hill
yeah.
House and Midnight Mass, and those are just phenomenal.
Right. Yeah. Midnight Matt. Yeah. He's, isn't he, was he a Towson guy?
Yeah.
Towson
Yeah.
Films.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Mike and, God, who else did I have on that had worked with? I think it was Sean Paul Murphy. I think had worked with him. He was one of my other guests I had, but, yeah, I've seen the Hill House and the Midnight Mass. That was interesting,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, because you don't even realize what genre you're in until about 4 episodes in. You're like, oh, this is that story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. So many different genres of horror and everything, and yeah, that's one of the things I know, we normally talk about. I mean, of course, I'm having you all on to talk about the movie that you made, but also there's others that talk about what their favorites were. Big horror fans and everything, and there's just so many differences in each era of horror and everything. And I think a lot of people take from that are doing these movies, take a lot from every era there. It was just kind of a different approach to it, different, I guess, fads in filmmaking, different popular themes and that sort of thing throughout all the eras and everything. But yeah, go ahead.
We talked about it, and it felt like in the 80s there was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of with the Freddys and the Jasons, there was still a little bit of a wink to the audience and a lot of fun. And then like in the 2000s, it got like hyper real and serious. And now it feels like it's kind of swinging back the other way with some of the, like the Edgar Wright stuff and things like that. So, I don't know. It kind of goes in cycles, but I like the fun in it. It can't be so serious that there's no release and no comedy and no like Dan, serious enough.
You mentioned where things cycle around like that. Well, when they were going to make Shaun of the Dead, in that book you gave me, You Got Red on You, the Shaun of the Dead story, making Shaun of the Dead, that they said the zombie movie wouldn't work. It wouldn't work at the time. They were like, nah, there's no way this is going to work. There's no way. And you know what? Not only did it work, but it's a classic, it's a cult, it's favorite. And I mean, it's phenomenal. So if you make a good horror movie, I don't care when you make it, you will get rewarded by people enjoying it and watching it. So, it doesn't matter. You just have to, there are certain things that you have to hit in it. And then there are certain things that you can play with, I guess, within the genre. And, and I think we did that. I think in our film, we took a genre that was already out there and we did a little twist on it and we had fun with it. People like it.
Oh yeah. A number of people have done that kind of thing. Have a little bit of fun with it. Some to a greater extent than others. I had Tommy McLaughlin was on, and he was I think he was Friday the 13th Part 6. And he actually had Jason in that one, and he had a couple of Marx Brothers references, a couple of Marx Brothers Easter eggs and some other ones in there that he kind of, took from and placed in there. And it's always a lot of fun to see those things. I can remember, and you guys, I know, Ken, I think you and I are pretty close in age. If you remember when Evil Dead 2 came out, I mean, what marketing genius that was. I got home from work and I heard the ad for it on the radio, and I really thought I was going to see the most disturbing thing in my life. I got to the theater and I was on the floor laughing 10 minutes into it.
Yeah.
And that was it. That's what hooked you in. That was the hook, man. That was the thing. They wanted you to think it was a serious movie. And then when you saw it, you were like, oh my God, that was awesome.
Yeah, well, the thing was like, the way they had it advertised was, one of the key phrases from that time was because Faces of Death was out, banned in 100 and some countries. So this movie has been banned. Nobody with a heart condition nor pregnant women will be allowed in the theater, So what does that lead you to think? The woman's going to go into labor from laughing so hard. I mean,
That's happening right now with a movie called Terrifier 2.
Yes.
Where they're putting it out saying people are vomiting and passing out in the theater right now.
God.
And it's doing well. It's doing well. You know,
yeah.
We met those guys, good group of guys, you know, they make that's their thing, Art the Clown. And, you know, very gory stuff, very, you know, it's a long film, 2.5 hours. So be prepared to sit in there. But,
Holy smokes, the first one wasn't that long.
Yeah. What's that?
Terrifier 1 wasn't that long.
No, this
No,
was
it wasn't.
2.5. Terrifier 2 is 2.5 hours long.
Boy,
yeah.
That's like a Godfather length movie right there. You know?
Yeah, you're like, oh man, that's
yeah.
long.
Generally on a horror film, you want to keep it short, you know, short and sweet. 90 minutes is a good time. And you know, one of the things I think we try and do, and not only with the Night Watchmen, but with the subsequent films that we've made, is try to do something different. You know, every story, you know, there's, like they say, there's like a handful of stories out there. You know, but how can our story be different, and make it seem like it's going to go one way, but then go off on a totally different tangent, to make it different from everything else. I mean, how many slasher movies are out there? How many Dracula movies or vampire movies are out there? How do you make it different? And one of the ways that we make it different is make people laugh, make it entertaining, you know. And not just go down one kind of road kind of script where everything is basically another movie and you just change the names and locations. You know?
Yeah, right. We're gonna have to take a quick break here for a second here for a couple of our sponsors. You're listening to Fowl Players Radio. We've got Dan Franko, Ken Arnold, and Dan DeLuca from Night Watchmen here with us tonight. Getting ready to celebrate 5 years of Night Watchmen. We'll be back right after this. Coming to Fifth Company Brewing in Perryville, Maryland, Friday, October 21st, an evening of murder mystery with the Fowl Players of Perryville. There's been a change of ownership at WPVL, Perryville's oldest independent television station. Could this mean a shakeup involving some of Perryville's most beloved local television personalities? There's also been some talk of some financial improprieties and irregularities found in the books of the station. What does all of this mean? Come to Fifth Company Brewing, 325 Front Street in Perryville, Maryland, on Friday, October 21st to find out. For more information, go to www.fifthcompanybrewing.com or www.fowlplayersofperryville.com. Get your tickets now.
Hi, this is Bud Becker, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio.
Hi, everybody. Dwight Weems from Gaz the Fun Band, and you're watching and listening to Fowl Players Radio.
Hello, this is John Piat,
Kevin Schmidt,
and Jerry Bozick, and we're August, a little band from Virginia. You can hear our story, other stories from the legendary Baltimore, D.C. music scene, and much, much more with Michael Spedden on Fowl Players Radio. You can find it at www.fowlplayersradio.com, on YouTube, and wherever you find podcasts online. Keep rocking.
So, we're back, and thank you for sticking around here. So we're back with Dan Franko, Ken Arnold, and Dan DeLuca. And tell us a little bit more about this. You know, the one thing that I've always been fascinated with, I saw a little bit of it when I was on Gotham because I got shot. These people that do special effects, I mean, it's just, I love to sit and just watch these guys. I mean, it's amazing some of the things that they've come up with, the technology, the way to make things real. You know, what was your experience with that?
Yeah, we had a friend of ours that we were going to bring in, but he got busy with another project. So he recommended R.J. Hattie, who he was one of the runners up on that series Face Off, where they do the special effects makeup and stuff like that. And so RJ, showed up with his bag of tricks, and not only was he amazing, he was just an amazing person. I mean, he was a lot of fun to work with. Great guy. I mean, part of the whole reason I think this film did very well was that everybody liked everybody else, and everybody was having fun, and everybody kind of brought their A game but he, you know, a lot of the stuff was just out of RJ's head. I mean, he came up with some of these designs and the, you know, the look, and, you know, Franco, he did your kind of vampire look, and Blimpo and whatnot. But you know, he had the whole thing there. He was making masks and the latex. And go ahead, Ken.
He did do that donkey face for you, right? That you had the whole film, that jackass looking face. Oh, that was your real face. I'm sorry.
Oh.
That was a practical.
Oh, that was your face. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh God.
Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, the really cool thing is, and aside from all the practicals and the makeup, special effects, we had just an outstanding stunt team, and
absolutely,
and so much of our stunts were done practically for the camera, and now these guys have all gone on, you know, to huge things. I just saw, I don't know if you saw the She-Hulk finale, but I saw Dan Carter getting beat up by She-Hulk on that.
Yeah.
That's one of our clown pyres. And
no, he was Remar when I kicked him in the balls. He was Remar stunt double.
Remar? Okay.
Yeah, he was Remar.
And our Blimpo, the guy that played Blimpo, he went on to be Drax. First, he was in a bunch of the Marvel stuff, but now he was Drax's stunt double on both of the final Avengers, Endgame and Infinity War. And he's got one that is going to be out soon that he can't talk about, but it's coming soon. So he's been really busy in the stunt world. Him and Dan Carter and Elena Eberhardt. So just an amazing stunt crew. Fire crew, all of that. So
and I've
by
worked with
Jeff
those guys.
Wilhelm. Jeff Wilhelm was our stunt coordinator out of Maryland. Amazing guy as well. And you know, and I can remember talking to him and saying, "Why are all you people so nice? You know, and all your stunt guys are so nice, and gals." And he was like, "That's the only people I'll work with. I'll only work with nice people."
Yeah.
Which is great.
You know, it just made a whole huge difference. Dan got his dancing tips from the stunt crew. They were showing him how to twerk and
which was fantastic.
Do the Dougie and whatnot. And
Dan, you got to tell them what happened when Gary Peebles, who's humongous, by the way, he's the guy that played Blimpo. And he's just a big dude, and his legs are bigger than like my entire body. One of his legs is just bigger than my body. So go ahead, Dan. Tell them what happened when they wired you up that one time and he jumped off of that little ledge.
So I get thrown by one of the vampires into these guys, and it is basically a wire to a harness on my back that went up into the rafters, down the hallway, and to the other end of the warehouse. And the two of them were just a counterbalance. Gary Blimpo would just stand there. You know, he wasn't in Blimpo because that would have been awesome if he
that
was
would have
in
been
Blimpo. And he'd just stand there on the other end of the rope, and he'd just step off of a ledge, but he stepped off a little too forcefully, and I might have launched a little forcefully, and I go up over Ken's head. I catch him in the eye with my knee.
Right here. Kneed me right in the face. Boof. But it looked great. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I was like, there's no way I'm hitting this mat. I'm gonna die here tonight.
So he hit me in the face and I caught him. We landed on the mat, fortunately.
It's just see. Yeah, it's just amazing. The and you also were just talking about fire and other things like that. Just all the technology out there. I mean, I could sit and the jobs that I've booked and everything. I just love watching these people and listening to these guys talk and everything. It's just so many things they thought of, and so many things have been developed to be able to make this stuff look good without actually hurting people. Which is the thing. I mean, years and years ago, I mean, these guys were actually really getting messed up and hurt by these things. And nowadays, they've really got it to where it looks even better, but it's that much safer. I mean, it's really, here's the technology, huh?
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
There's a bonus for us. One day, Jeff Wilhelm comes up to us and he says, "Hey, you guys want to light somebody on fire?" This is while we're filming. It wasn't written in the script. We're like, "Yeah, we don't got the budget for that, Jeff." And he goes, "Oh, no, we'll do it for fun." So, the next thing we know, we're going to set a guy on fire. And that's the fire scene that you see there. But we also use that to play a practical joke on our buddy Jiggets. Ken, I'll let you tell that story.
Yeah, so we all show up in the dressing room one day. We all shared a dressing room, me, Dan, Kevin, and Dan Franko, when he was on set. And we're all sitting in there, we're all whispering, you know, we're all talking real low. Kevin's coming. All right, everybody. We all start mumbling. Blah, blah, blah. Then Kevin comes in and he's like sitting there and he realizes something's off. And he's like, what, guys? What? We go, well, you know, today we had a schedule change and we got to bump up a stunt, and it's your stunt. You know, we were going to tell you, but you know, we're going to have to set you on fire today. And he's like, what? Oh no, you're setting me on fire. He started to panic. Now here's an ex-Marine. He was an ex-Marine. You know, he was in Beirut. I mean, he's been in combat, you know.
Oh yeah.
So he was freaking out. He was like, no, you're not, not me. That's not happening. I got to talk to the producers. Where are the producers? Where's everybody else? We had to run down the hallway. Kevin, we're kidding. We're not going to set you on fire. Said, nope. So we did light somebody on fire. And I'll tell you right now, there's nothing like burning clown, the smell of burning clown in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it, man. So,
oh man. Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, some of the other things, you know, just the precautions they take, even if you're just doing a small fall. I mean, you know, you're practically you know, wrapped in bubble wrap almost under your clothes to make sure nothing happens to you. It's really something, you know.
Yeah. Generally you are, but they didn't really care about us. So I think, you know, we broke some limbs and, you know,
they didn't care about us
for a week after.
About us actors. They were just like, let's throw them up against the wall. And
But the nice thing was is that Dan and Ken and Kevin were encased in a protective shell of fake blood. So
true.
It was like a shield.
That was the worst
exoskeleton.
That was the worst part.
Like
we had what was called on set the paint room, and like you walked in, and they would the makeup artist took paintbrushes of blood when we got there and just trying to match, you know, all the blood. And it was it felt like every day. And it was cold. We were shooting in the winter and it was sticky, and it would crust up like candy apple stuff. And then they would wet it down again to make it loose, so it looked more like blood again. And imagine doing that for a month of your life where you're just stuck to everything. You know, people would come up next to you, and you know, I'd come home to my house and it would be like everywhere, like on doorknobs, on, you know, the kitchen sink. It would be in the shower. It would be in my bed. I was just like, it was everywhere. And when I would take my clothes off at the end of the day, it would rip the hair off my chest and off my arms and off. By the time I was done, I was completely bald. I mean, my whole body was like I got waxed. Yeah. Like it was just whoosh, all my hair was gone. It was crazy. It was crazy.
And the room that they did this to us in, it looked like something out of a mob movie. You know, it was just plastic on the ground everywhere.
It looked like
everywhere, blood.
Yeah, it looked like Dexter's Kill Room. You know, talk about James Remar. It looked like Dexter's. You know, there was blood everywhere. They would just go. They would be doing this, just like Jackson Pollock in us, just throwing it on us. So I mean, it was fun, you know. And you know who didn't enjoy it? Jiggets. And every day, as he progressed through the shoot, you see less blood on him and less blood on him and less blood on him, because he wouldn't let him do it. Every day he would get less and less and less. By the end of the shoot, he had like just one little spot of blood on his face.
Oh wow.
So I'm going to tell you a related story for another film that we did, Comedy of Horrors, Volume 1. I'm pitching it here.
Yeah, it's out now. It's out now. Can I just add to it real quick, Dan?
Please, go ahead.
It is out now on DirecTV, Cox Video on Demand, Comcast Video on Demand, In Demand, Cablevision, Charter, Ubiquity, Rogers Canada, Shaw Canada, iTunes, Amazon Prime, and it's part of your subscription, so you can watch it for free. Microsoft, Google, Vudu, Fandango. Get out, watch A Comedy of Horrors Volume 1.
as well. It's on Tubi as well.
And go ahead, Dan. Tell
And
your story.
Tubi. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good.
I just saw it on Tubi. We were shooting this other movie, the three of us, me, Ken, and Franco. And there's this scene where we come across this guy who's been killed out in the woods, and blood's supposed to spurt out of him at one point and just cover both Ken and I. And so we're talking to the special effects guy, and he's like, no, it would be funnier if it was just one of you. Dana, it would be funnier if you were just completely covered and Ken didn't have a stitch on him of blood. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. I wrote it in there just to bother Ken. And so the day of, and this is kind of was like a one take deal. You know, you can't do this trick too many times because you only have so many costumes. We're out there and the gag goes off and the blood squirts off and directly at Ken. It just covers Ken.
The wind was blowing, like gusting to the left.
Jeez.
It was like a field goal kick, and then the wind blew in and just
God.
wide
I
left.
had barely a speck on me.
And it was all over me. I mean, all over me. I was like,
brilliant.
And you could see it in my face when it hit me. I was like, God damn it, again. I was like, son of a... This was the movie I wasn't supposed to get blooded.
That movie also features a mutual friend of ours,
Jill Redding.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Yep.
Oh, yeah, Jill.
Yeah, she did an excellent job. She's
she was
the
funny as hell.
deputy. So
She always does. I was just working with her the other night. You know, we kind of have sister murder mystery companies. We both work for Otter Productions, and when Herb, moved on, he split the company between Jill and I, but we still work together all the time. We use a lot of the same people and everything. And she's always talking about how much she loves the Actors Club and she loves Ken.
Oh, great. Well,
She's been snowed.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
she is part of our acting family. She's awesome. She has a new movie out as well called The Ghost of West River.
Yes.
It's on YouTube, and she gives just a beautiful performance. Just an amazing, really moody, really kind of just a beautiful little movie and short film, and I think she's great in it.
Oh, she absolutely is. She absolutely is. I always, I'm the kind of guy who I came into acting late in the game. I didn't start until I was about 40. So I'd always been a band guy. And, I got into this, and a couple years into it, I met Jill and Herb and learned so much from them, really, as far as improv and everything. And I always like to be around experienced people, and I always like to go and try to pick something up wherever I go, so she's just been great. She's just been great. And you want to talk a little bit about your Actors Club, Ken?
Yeah, I do the Actors Club, but Dan Franko helps me as well. He's my co-host at the Actors Club, and we do it. We do it every other Wednesday throughout the year. Sometimes, we skip a couple here and there based on schedules and things like that. But it's a group of actors. We get 10 to 12 actors together. They perform monologues, scenes. We do it all on Zoom now. We used to do it in person, and we're eventually going to try and get back to in person.
Sure.
But I think we're going to keep the Zoom component to it because it's just easier on the travel, and you don't have to leave your place, and you don't have to spend the money on gas and everything.
And our folks who've moved out to LA or Arizona, they're able to still work with us.
Yeah,
sure,
and it's just great because everybody gets to work, and what happens is they'll do a scene or they'll do a monologue, and then we all come back on the Zoom, and then we give them pointers, tips, very positive atmosphere as well. There's no negative, there's no, we try to stay away from that. We try to build everybody up. I think that's the best approach in anything, in anything that you're doing. You got to build people up. And that's what we try and do. And it's good for the actors. And the actors, all the actors that are in Actors Club, they go on and they start working and they start booking jobs and they start doing things. And that's, I think, why we do it, Dan. I think that's why we do it.
And we're in our 12th year now, I believe. So we've been at it, or 11th or 12th year, we've been at it for quite a while. And, it's just, it's like a tribe, a great group of people who've come through and it's very positive and supportive, and everybody's, people who were there in 2009, we're still reaching out and working with people and letting them know about auditions and stuff like that. So it's a great environment and a great group.
If
It's
somebody
been a great place to cast our films from too. I mean, there's whenever we have something, Ken and Dan always suggest somebody from the group, and it's always on the money. It really I think it's been, I'm on the outside of it because they want to keep it, like you said, positive, so they don't want me there.
I thought nobody likes you. Every time I tell them DeLuca's coming on, they're all like, "Oh man, really?"
But I mean, some great people we've worked with out of Actors Club. You guys have done a brilliant job.
That sounds like a great opportunity just about for anybody to have peer support to come out and bounce things off of people. There's nothing easy, and the way they're doing auditions now, it used to be, you go to New York or go to Philly or wherever they would have you. You go in, they give you the sides when you get there. You have the sides to look at. Nowadays, I mean, you're almost putting on a full production in your own home before you send it in, because not only do you just do you can't sit there and look at the sides like you did the old way. Nowadays, they want you off book. They want you to actually pretend you're actually on the scene. You have to have your sight lines. You're talking to this one over here, that one over there. Some of them even take it to where they want you to have props and things like that and furniture, in the room.
Some do, yeah.
Some do, yeah. Not everybody. I mean, some of them are still kind of old school.
Yeah.
But to be alone and to try to come up with these things on your own, sometimes you'll just, you'll drive yourself up the wall. But having a really nice peer network like that has really got to be valuable to people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'll give you an example. The other day, I needed to put myself on tape, and I contacted Dan. I said, "Hey, can you jump on with me and do this? Be my reader." And I set up a monitor, boom, right next to the camera. So that's my eye line. I'm looking at Dan, doing it right to him, and it worked out great. It worked out great. He was, he did his thing. And and they do that all the time in Actors Club. Actors, they pair up, they rehearse, together over Zoom or whatever it is, and then they come into class and they're prepared. And when people are prepared, it's really nice. It's really nice to see. It's really nice to watch. It's really nice to learn from when people are prepared. And I think we've developed that culture over the years where people know, hey, come ready to work, be positive. And let's all get better, because we all need to get better. So.
Well, I mean, this sounds like a great club. Is there a way that if somebody were interested, they could either audit audit a meeting or join? What would be involved with that?
It's $1,000 entry fee. Okay.
But if you can get 3 friends to
join, it's a total pyramid scheme, Mike. Don't you realize this?
The Ponzi scheme, right?
So anyway, the first one is free to audit if you want to. You come in, we give you the link. You come in, and if you want to participate, cool. You can do a monologue. You can, read a scene with somebody, be somebody's reader, whatever. And then from moving on, it's just $10 a session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not, you don't have to buy 10 sessions or sign up for a month or whatever. You don't have to do any of that. But the thing is, you got to put the work in. You can't say I'm coming and then last second not show up.
Sure. Right.
If you do if you do that a few times, that's the way out the door. Because, we want people who want to come and they want to work and they want to put it in, put that work in. So
And we pretty much drive the whole thing through our Facebook page. So Actors Club, just and it looks like the icon is a bar of soap, like the Fight Club logo. So just make sure that you get the Actors Club DC. One of our friends up in New York has a spur. We're completely fine with it. I mean, it's not like a ripoff, but so there is a New York group as well that has developed for folks that have gone up that way. But so yeah, if they contact Actors Club and message us, we only have a couple left here during 2022, but we'll start up probably a couple weeks into January of 23, and then we'll go every other Wednesday, through the next year.
Oh, that sounds great. I mean, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity for anybody who is an actor, a chance to network, a chance to work with some other people and have a partner who can, not only get feedback during the meeting, but I'm sure you can give each other feedback as you're working on each project or each scene that you get to do. So, hey, why not? Why not? Sounds great. It sounds great. Sir.
DeLuca does his own Actors Club on the same nights. He sets up a Zoom for himself, and then he sets up another camera in another room, and then he runs back and forth between the two cameras.
Oh, okay.
It's true. And he's really good.
He's the best actor I've ever seen.
He's the best. He's the best in the club.
Yeah, the problem is his Wi-Fi sucks, so the one's always frozen. So he's running back and forth. You can only see one.
And quite sweaty at the end too, I guess. Huh? Yeah.
And you can't imagine what's going on in my head with the next script about what's going to happen to these two guys in the next strip and what kind of garbage they're going to be covered in.
Absolutely. Ken, one other thing I wanted to ask you about. I've seen Appletinis with Ken.
Yeah, Appletinis with Ken.
Tell us a little about that in the time we have here.
Well, we started that in 2009 in my basement. I started doing it as just me on the show, and I would record myself drinking Appletinis and just talking about stupid stuff. And then Dan joined me, Franko, he joined me on a couple. And from there, it grew into us doing a live feed because live feeds became popular. And we did that for a while, and we're going to do that again. We're going to bring that back eventually. We've taken a little hiatus from that, but now it's actually a podcast. It's called Appletinis the Podcast. And we have guests on. We had Kevin Johnson from Stranger Things and Ozark on. As a matter of fact, I think I saw him in Halloween Ends playing a dead body. I swear to God, I think it was him. I watched it last night. I'm pretty sure it was. And we had him on. We had Shraven Amin, who was in Ozark. We had, we got cool guests coming up that we're going to have on the show. We got to line those people up, and we're going to bring them on, actors, musicians, writers. And we just love to talk about their process and what makes them tick, man. What makes you get out of bed every morning, and what's your passion and why you do this? So I think it's a pretty positive podcast, and we like to stay there, but it's funny too.
Is there a specific, did you say there was a specific website, or is it on like all the platforms?
Yeah. You can find it on we have it on Buzzsprout, but it shoots it out to all Spotify, Apple. Right. So it shoots them all out. And then we also have a Facebook page, Appletinis with Ken, Twitter, Appletinis with Ken, and Instagram as well. So
great.
Yeah, it's a really fun thing that we enjoy doing, and we get liquored up.
Hey, why not? Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming and spending some time with us here on Fowl Players Radio. Best of luck with your 5-year anniversary showing of Night Watchmen.
Thank you.
I was really glad to hear that. I've watched it a couple of times on Amazon. That's where I've seen it. And I've really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. It's a fun movie. It really is a fun movie and well done. And, all the best of luck. Is it still, besides having this screening, is it still out there on the streaming services?
Absolutely. We have if you go to our Facebook page, or you go to our Twitter page, or there is a link tree link that shows you where it's streaming. You can get it on Blu-ray at Amazon. We're doing screenings. We're doing this one at Landmark. As a matter of fact, we just added another one that's going to take place out in Frederick, Maryland. So we've got one at Landmark in Annapolis on November 2nd at 8 p.m. And then we have a week later, we're going to be out in Frederick at the Warehouse Cinemas out there. And there's going to be a networking hour ahead of time from 6:30 to 8 o'clock at their bar there. They have a bar. You can go up, you can order drinks and whatever, but it's going to be a filmmaker networking event. And then if you have a ticket to see the movie, you can go in and watch The Night Watchmen.
Okay. Hey, that sounds like a great opportunity too.
You gotta see it in a theater. The sound design that sound department did out of Catonsville, those guys are amazing. They did such a great sound design, and just the images on the big screen, blood and guts and things flying around. It's really cool. It's really cool.
We were lucky. We haven't had that opportunity with our latest comedy of horrors, but Night Watchmen got a full festival run before in the before times before the pandemic. So we got to see it in a bunch of packed houses, packed theaters at festivals, and it is the audience has a blast with it. So if you get a chance to come out and see it with a full audience, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet it is. Did you say that could you get tickets at the door, or do you have to get them through your Eventbrite? I saw an Eventbrite link.
Yeah, you got to get it through Eventbrite, and I sent you that link. So if you share that Eventbrite link, and it's limited seating, we only have a certain amount of seats, and it's selling fast. I will say that. We're running out of seats every day. I open up my email, and there are more tickets going. So
good for you.
It's getting pretty. It's getting pretty packed in that theater. So and
that's because Ken promised that Dan Franko would dance live at each one of them.
I did. So I'm just gonna say, but so if you go to our Eventbrite link and you use the discount code BLIMPO, 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 you get $2 off.
Great.
So,
Well, that sounds like a good deal. Are there any other things that you'd like to plug right now?
DeLuca would love to plug the Western we shot in Austria. Go ahead, DeLuca.
Yeah. So we shot a Western last year in Austria because of the COVID protocols. It was cheaper for us to go over there, and the government over there takes care of the COVID protocols. And we shot a Western called A Town Called Purgatory, again, with some of the same old suspects, myself, Ken, Kevin Jiggets, Matt Servito, and then a handful of locals that were there. It's a straight up horror film. And basically it's a couple of guys walk into this town and it's empty. And the town is got blood everywhere and nobody's around. And we're trying to figure out, well, what happened? And it goes on from there. I don't want to give anything away, but that should be out this spring. We're looking forward to hit festivals this spring.
I will say it's got gunfights, it's got cowboy hats, it's got horses, it's got all kinds of fun Western stuff in it.
I think it had mustaches.
It does not have Dan Franko dancing, so
doesn't have. But Dan Franko does have his film that is really good Halloween watch. Go ahead, Dan, promote that sucker for us.
It's called the Recursion Theorem, and it's on YouTube. It's about a 24-minute. It plays like a lost episode of The Twilight Zone, inspired by The Twilight Zone and The Shining and Hitchcock. And it was also celebrating its 5-year anniversary since we released it. So they were both The Night Watchmen and Recursion were on the festival circuit at the same time. So that was a lot of fun.
Great. Well, this sounds like there's all kinds of great stuff to watch that you're sending our way here, and things to look forward to seeing as well. So good stuff, guys. Good stuff. And best of luck with your screenings. And thank you for coming on here. I'm hoping that absolutely. And like I said, come back anytime. There's an open invite to anybody who has something to promote, because that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Bands, actors, filmmakers, theater, whatever. Come on and tell your story and plug your stuff. That's the name of the game here. So always glad to have you. I think, Ken, this is probably about 3 for us?
Yes, 3.
3, yeah.
Oh my God, and you had him back? Holy mother of God.
Yeah, Shannon, with you by yourself, and then with Shannon. And then
Sexy dance.
tonight. So yeah, the third time. So folks, you've heard Ken Arnold, Dan Franko, Dan DeLuca. Get out and see The Night Watchmen in a theater as it was meant to be seen. Go out and see Comedy of Horrors and all the other things that they plugged. So guys, again, thank you all for being with us tonight.
Thanks for
and
having
we'll
us.
see you next time. You're listening to Fowl Players Radio. Well, folks, there you have it. We had a nice visit tonight with Dan Franko, Ken Arnold, and Dan DeLuca from Night Watchmen. Congratulations again, guys, on your 5-year anniversary of your movie. And it's going to be shown in a theater, as it should be shown November 2nd at 8 p.m. at Landmark Theater down in Annapolis. So make sure you go check it out. Again, thank you again for watching and listening to Fowl Players Radio, www.fowlplayersradio.com. And remember our YouTube channel. Again, if you're watching me right now, you can see that I have the greatest face in the world for radio. So check out our YouTube channel. Remember to hit the subscribe and like button and follow us there too. We will see you next time. Have a good one.